Moving on, pupils have been told to give Sir a miss, and they can forget calling teachers Miss as well. That's because it's sexist, according to the head of Harris Westminster Sixth Form in London. James Hanscom told pupils that while Sir evokes knights and respect, Miss feels more suitable for little girls and Edwardian shop assistants. As an alternative, the headmaster asked students to call teachers by their names and titles, whether that's Mr, Ms or Doctor. I mean, you know, OK, fine, do this, but what, this headmaster, what possessed him to think that this is a crucial issue? I mean, in what way has Britain been detrimentally affected by generations of kids calling teachers Sir or Miss? And then who goes around saying, do you know what, I'm very worried about the inequality between the term Sir and Miss. This is pathetic. It's just a load of woke waste of time. And I feel sorry for the poor kids who've got to be taught by idiots like this who think it's worth doing. Honestly, I am sick of it.
Oh, wow. OK, Grandad.
I think
I'm
just
listening
to him. Worried. I think you need, maybe you need a glass of water.
Yeah, I do.
Or a nice chamomile
It's
tea.
something a lot stronger in this.
I went to quite a strictish, like, respectable school, albeit in Blackpool, when I was younger, and we weren't allowed to call teachers Miss because it was deemed disrespectful.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
So what did you call them?
Their name, not their full name, but their, you know, Mrs. Mayhew or Dr. Smith, whatever.
What about
Because
Madam? What have you called them Madam?
Madam, I just don't think that was in our
That's
lexicon.
a bit weird.
But the difference between Sir and Miss is so vast.
Why?
Sir is somebody who's knighted. You can't go around
cares?
being called Sir. I care. Kevin.
Why do you care?
The problem is that
care.
Mr is a bit disrespectful, isn't it?
Exactly.
So what are you going to do?
So Miss is if Mr's disrespectful,
Yeah.
so's Miss. So the equivalent would be Mom. But we just don't really have that in our lexicon. So they're just saying don't call female teachers Miss because it's quite degrading.
Sorry.
How many female teachers have been polled about this, and are they
Exactly.
actually unhappy? I'd like to be called Miss. I think it's quite nice.
Yeah.
It's quite sweet.
Even
it's
if you're
fine.
a Mrs. and you have been a Mrs. for decades.
Oh, so in my
years.
school,
I think female teachers should take to the streets with banners. Stop calling us Miss! Stop calling us Miss! When do we want to stop being called Miss? Now!
By the way, there's a completely ridiculous fundamental thing missing from this debate, which is that why are women, when they're married, still called Mrs. by the surname of their husband? I mean,
Yes.
that's far more widespread, and no one seems to be questioning
Hey,
that.
listen,
Yeah.
there is a really easy solution. You call...
Just stick with
you
your name.
No, you call the female teachers Miss and you call the male teachers Master.
Yes.
There we go. Master.
Oh no, because that's technically incorrect. Isn't master for a young man, not a...
That's what I mean. Well, that's what I'm
Exactly.
saying.
You have a problem
There
with
we
that?
go.
Yes, of course I don't.
So why
Well, at my school, we had nuns, so it was sister or maybe superior.
What do you call them?
Yeah, I went to a
Right,
Catholic
now,
school, exactly.
This is explaining a lot.
Yeah, it all makes sense.
Do you ladies mind being called Miss? You don't mind
I
it?
don't mind it at all.
Nicola?
Actually, I don't.
I mean, my Instagram handle is Miss Nicola Thorpe because that's just what I am.
Oh,
If I was
what
just-
happened to Moose?
If I was, no, I'm not bothered by that. If I was just called Miss, excuse me, Miss, there's something about that that's like, well, I actually have a name.
Would you mind being called Miss Thorpe then? Excuse me, Miss Thorpe, is that okay?
Yeah.
That's okay, but
nice.
dropping the Thorpe
It's
and just
all
being called
nice.
Miss is wrong.
No, it was really disrespectful at school. It was like, we'd always be the teacher would turn around and say, I have a name. It's Miss Mayhew or Miss Smith.
my
It's not
gosh.
just Miss, because it just shows
What kind of school did you go to?
a really
Blackpool
nice
school.
one. A really lovely school.
Too nice, clearly disrespectful. Flipping
Yeah,
it.
but to call, you've got to admit, Miss and Sir, they're not equal, so there is an element of sexism.
I don't admit
never
that.
saw
I
it
don't
way.
admit
No,
that
I
at
don't admit
all.
that. I never saw it that way. I just was told every
Did you even have any Sirs in your school? You were just taught by nuns.
in primary school we were just taught by nuns, yeah. But secondary school we had some men and some doctors.
We were...
Doctors, right, yeah. So it was,
you did.
doctor or sister.
You went to a private school.
you know what?
No, you should get your money back.
I did not go to private school. Stop spreading that.
I thought you just said that.
And I'm
You're
a-
privileged.
and I'm 103, and at our primary school, we called them by their names.
What? Like their first names?
Mr. Raines was one of my favourite teachers. There was one we called Mrs. Mushroom, and I'm sure her name was not Mrs. Mushroom, but that's what it sounded like to me. She was Mrs. Mushroom till the day.
Have you been taking some mushrooms?
Wouldn't be the first time.
I liked Mrs. Mushroom. She was really nice.
I wonder what
She's gone.
Mrs.
We've lost that. Can move us on?
What's Mrs. Mushroom doing these days? Coming up!